everybody? It's Icon here, talking a little Supergirl and or Batwoman. Well, actually, we're doing both. So, episode 11 for both shows. Again, we're coming off on Crisis. We're looking at all the effects, the post-crisis, the aftermaths. So let's get right into it. And this time we're gonna start first with a little Batwoman. So for this episode of Batwoman, it takes place, I guess, the part 2, if you will, of when Kate shows up back to Wayne Tower on her birthday, and she's met by her sister Alice from the dark side, or in this case, another Earth. So, so we all see the scene where she's choking Beth out. Beth gets scared and runs away. She talks to Luke, Luke and Mary actually, and then, which is weird because they had Beth's ID and everything. They were going through her phone and all her personal belongings, and Mary was surprisingly calm about it, and I'm just no one told her about the multiverse, Kate being Batwoman, and she's just taking this whole thing very well, considering that's the face of the woman who murdered her mom. So so Kate goes to the Crow headquarters. She's talking to Sophie. She's like, "You didn't tell me that Beth escaped." She's like, "Bitch, she's right here." So so then Kate realizes, she's just like, wow, so Alice is locked up, so who's this girl? And then maybe Mary did see Beth when she said she saw her at the college. And then Luke was basically just because Luke understands the multiverse thing. And I like how when Luke talks about the multiverse, he basically summarizes it up in three, one sentence. And he's just when all the worlds collapsed, she got smushed into this one. And it's basically case in point. Kate goes down to their favorite spot, to check on her. She tells her, she's like, "Oh, you're my sister, I apologize." And then they go to the bar. She basically tells Beth about the entire multiverse situation, and I don't think she told her she was Batwoman, but she told her about the entire multiverse, and then she said, "I'm an astrophysicist," so she gets the concept, but she's like, "Wow, nobody knows me here, but I have my sister." And it turns out that on her Earth, Kate actually saved her from the car crash, which is, and she was like, "How on my Earth, both of us are best friends, and you don't have tattoos," and and that was the whole thing. When the car was going down, Kate jumped on top of the car and she pulled Beth out, but she wasn't able to save her mom, unfortunately. So now Kate's kind of tortured over the whole thing, because she's just because her whole thing was she was too afraid back then to to jump on the car and save Beth on her Earth, and now she's just damn, my doppelganger had the courage to do it, and she saved her sister, which means I could have did that, I could have actually saved her, and I didn't, so she was carrying that weight around until Luke snapped her out of it. Because when Alice was talking to Sophie at the headquarters, Alice was basically just like, "Oh, I have a plan," or whatever. And then Mouse shows up on TV. He kidnapped the commissioner's son and the mayor's son or whatever. He has them in a car, and he's he's gonna crush them unless they set Alice free. And then Luke's just like, "Look, your sister's safe. She doesn't need saving. Those kids need saving. So get your bad ass out there and go save them damn kids." So while she's on her way to go suit up, Mouse intercepts her. I don't know how Mouse knew where she was going to be at, but Mouse intercepted her. He locks Kate up in the same car that the kids are in, and he's basically going to crush them, because they're at one of those car junkyards where they compact things. So they're basically going to crush everybody into the into a compact car, unless the Crows set Alice free. So Alice is at the Crows. She's talking to Sophie. Her and Sophie are having a conversation. Sophie's trying to get in her head. Alice is getting in Sophie's head. She's just like, "Oh, don't you want to come out?" Because Alice knows that she's gay. She knows that she has a thing for Kate. So she's basically just playing on her, on her inner demons of her shame of hiding who she really is, to the point where it was throwing Sophie off a little bit. She asked for Alice wanted her book back. Sophie gave her the book. And then, there was a little an iron wire in the book. So when Sophie, told the Crows to take Alice to Arkham, she took the metal wire out of out of the book. She choked up the cops, and then when Sophie realized that she was doing that, she goes downstairs and she tries to stop Beth. But again, at this point, Beth's already in her head, so she's not thinking straight. So she didn't clear the corners, as they say, in tactical situations. Beth got the drop on her, and then she was just Sophie was she was in tears, she was crying, because she was like, "Yo, Alice was about to kill me." But Alice was like, "I'm not gonna kill you. I'm just gonna let you live with the fact that you're gonna be in the closet for the rest of your life." And then now so Sophie's all fucked up on the inside, and it's bothering her. So now Beth, the new Beth, she's just like, she's talking to Luke, and she's just like, oh, like my sister's been captured, and what are we? Because she knows about Alice, and she's like, what are we gonna do? And then Luke is like, there's nothing we can do because Mouse wants Alice, and then she's like, well, we'll give her Alice if that's what she wants. So so Alice, so Beth dresses up as Alice. She puts the blonde wig on to go try to fool Mouse into letting Kate go. Mary was the one who did Beth's makeup, like she did the hair, which is weird because I'm like, I feel like Mary should be questioning this more, because again, like, this is the face of the woman who murdered your mom, and you're about to dress her up to look exactly like the person who murdered your mom. And Mary has no backstory of the multiverse situation. She has no idea what's going on. She doesn't know. She's aware. She understands the concept of doppelgangers, but she doesn't, like, I don't think Mary knows that Beth is an actual doppelganger. I think she just trying to write her off as like some Alice lookalike. And I'm just like, I just feel like Mary should have been taking that a little bit harder, but again, that's me. So they dress up Beth as Alice. Alice goes down, to the junkyard. Now apparently Kate and Sophie have a code, because when Mouse put Kate on the phone to talk to Sophie, Kate told her, she was like, come save me. I repeat, come save me, or something like that. And then, she was just like, that was like their secret code, because they said that whenever they say to do something twice, then you're supposed to do the opposite. So Kate said to Sophie twice, like, come save us, which means don't save us. So Sophie didn't do that. And then, but Alice was just like, oh, but me and Mouse have our secret communications as well. And then, when when Beth dressed as Alice showed up to the junkyard, Mouse tried to use their secret code, which Beth didn't have, and then he knew Beth was a fake, but Mouse was freaking out because he's like, why do you look like Alice? And then he threw Beth in the trunk. He threw Beth in the trunk along with Kate and the kids. He set the whole thing on fire. Kate ended up, like breaking out of it. She ended up getting out of the car. She saved the kids. Mouse ran away like a bitch, and then she, she proceeds to try to, she tries to break Beth out of the car because the car is about to explode. And this is a nice callback because, again, Kate was tormented throughout the entire episode over the fact that she never got a chance to save Beth. So this is her chance to finally save Beth in a car that's about to go down, So it was very like poetic. Like Batwoman does that a lot. Like they foreshadow these things as like children, and then then like that character gets a do-over when they're adults. So she ends up saving Beth, and then like all is well with the world. They did a little flashback real quick about when Alice was trapped in the house with the mouse guy. It shows you like how, as a child, how she made the transition from Beth to Alice, because like Mouse had given her a kitten, and then the dad found out that she had the kitten and he killed the kitten, and then I guess like Beth kind of like snapped after that, and that's when she kind of like made the transition to Alice. The father, when the father realized, she also knitted a sweater for the kitten, and when the dad realized that she knitted a sweater for the kitten, he was just like, yo, this girl got skills. So he used Alice to sew skin faces for Mouse, because his whole thing is he's trying to fix his son's face. His son's like burnt on half of his face, and he's trying to like give him new skin. But he said his hands were too big and he can't construct like a good face, but because Beth had smaller hands, like she was able to construct these skin faces. So she used her and it's like, and that's traumatizing for a child to sit there and like make faces out of like real skin. So Beth is the reason why Mouse, can change his appearance. And I'm still waiting for the scene where child Beth kills this dude, because like the dad need to go. And there was a line where Sophie even asked her, she was like, where did you get the book? And then, she was like, this book saved my life. And I think like whatever wiring was in that book that she used to kill the Crow cops, she's going to use that same thing and later on to like kill the dad. And I need to see that episode because homeboy need to go. So, so in the end, so again, like Kate saves Beth. There was another thing where when the kids got kidnapped, because everybody knows that Batwoman's a lesbian, the cops, the commissioner, he didn't want to use the bat symbol, I guess for whatever reason, like because I don't know, it's like because it's so stupid. Like because Batwoman's a lesbian, now all of a sudden he don't want to use the bat symbol, and I'm just like, you're a dumbass. Like that's your kid, like you better like you better get every reason imaginable. So, so like he didn't do it. Kate didn't need the bat suit. Thankfully, she saved everybody. And then at the end, like the entire city went to the police station in protest, saying, "Turn on the bat signal, turn on the bat signal." So then Batwoman showed up, in costume. So we got to see her once in costume. Everybody cheered. And then Batwoman's like, to hell with the commissioner. If he don't want to put on the bat signal, I'm still gonna do what I do because this is my city. And that was cool. So she goes back to her bar. Mary, Beth, Luke, they throw her a birthday party, her and Beth a birthday party, so all is well, all is well in the hood. Alice, obviously she got away, so they show a scene at the end, and Mary got drunk, and then she was talking about the multiverse. So then in the end, Alice is like, so while they're at the party, Beth ends up having like a migraine, whatever. And then like her brain is like starting to go scramble. And then she's falling on the floor and she's like, I don't know what's going on. And then across town or whatever she was, Alice was going through the same thing. And I think what's happening is because the Earths are merging and the doppelgangers got dropped off, either the doppelgangers are going to merge together as one, or they just have like shared memories now because their Earths have merged together. So Beth is getting Alice memories, Alice is getting Beth memories, and because both of them exist on the same plane, it's causing both of them, like mental stress. So like I said, either that or they're actually eventually just going to merge together. But we all knew that Beth wasn't going to stick around anyway, because that would just be weird. So that was it. It was it was a good episode. I want to see what happens now with Beth's brain, with Beth and Alice. Like are they going to have shared memories? Are they going to merge? Is Beth eventually going to die? I think who knows? And so like the city's okay now. Like nobody cares anymore. Nobody cares anymore that Batwoman's gay. And Sophie's the only person now struggling with who she really is. So so that was it. Like I said, cool episode of Batwoman, and I'm definitely looking forward to see what happens in the next one. So for Supergirl, we saw in the last episode that Winn has returned. His because of Crisis, with the merging of the Earth, his doppelganger came to Earth Prime. Just like with the other shows with their situations. And his Earth Prime his doppelganger is the actual Toyman. Like his father died on his Earth and he took over the mantle, became a villain. So Lex Luthor rolled up on him with the assistance of Brainy, because Brainy's still trying to help him. Because as soon as Toyman landed on this Earth, he got arrested, and he was on his way to like Iron Heights or wherever they send their criminals. Brainy busts him out of prison. Luthor's talking to him, and he's just like, don't you want to get revenge for what happened to your dad? So he basically lets him loose, so he can wreak havoc all over the the entire city, but not before Lex Luthor took a piece of his hair, and then later on we find out why. So Toyman goes to the toy convention to kill the guy that stole his father's ideas and ruined his dad's life. He tries to kill him. Kara's there. Alex shows up, because they heard like there's like a threat or whatever. They show up, and then just before Toyman shows up, he has like a rifle. He sees the dude that he needs to get his revenge on, and right before he kills the dude, a ship comes out of nowhere. It blocks the bullet, and it's our Winn from seasons 1, 2, 3 of Supergirl. Winn, who went to the future to work with the Legion of Superheroes to save the world from a computer virus that was killing off all organic computerized beings. So he's returned to stop his doppelganger from committing murder, because what happens is he tells us that in the future, because his doppelganger kills this guy in the present, he gets arrested in the future by time cops. And when he said time cops, I immediately thought Legends of Tomorrow, and I feel like time cops will become a thing at some point on Legends of Tomorrow, but who knows? So he's saying that, like he's married now, he has a daughter, both Kara and Alex are like, oh, and then, but he's saying that because his doppelganger commits murder, he pays for it. Like he's the one that gets like locked up for it, and it's gonna ruin his whole life. So he's trying to like say, he's like freaking out and everything. But he's a superhero now, like he has like all this tech, he has a cool suit, he has like a mask, and it's weird because the Winn that we've all grown to know, he basically wasn't the toughest guy, like he was the sniveling tech nerd, if you will, and like he wasn't like a badass. But if you saw the Crisis on Earth X crossover, where Winn was the general of the Resistance, well, you knew the actor had it in him to play a badass on a superhero, which is why he's able to be Toyman and both a Legion of Superheroes, superhero. So now like the gang's back together minus James. They go see Jean. Jean has this new John basically built a hideout in his apartment. It's like a tower. It's like a clock tower like above his apartment, and he built a hideout for him there, like the bunker, like the Arrow bunker, and like Star Labs. He has plaques on his wall with the symbols of the original members of the Justice League. I guess when you press the symbol, you can contact that person for assistance. But the funny thing is, I wonder when they shot this, because he didn't mention Jeff. Like, he never brought up Black Lightning. And when you look at the plaques on the wall, I believe Black Lightning and Sarah were the only two people who didn't have a symbol on the wall for, to be contacted. I mean, maybe for Sarah, because she travels through time, it's hard to contact her. But I don't understand why Jeff didn't have a plaque on that wall. But, that's something it could have been a mistake, but we'll find out if that's, if that deems to be true or not later. So they're trying to get Winn caught up to speed on everything that he missed with the multiverse, because again, like, Winn only knows Earth Prime. He doesn't remember anything that happened prior. Jean brings his memories back, and Winn immediately, like, I guess, like, the shock of everything that he saw, like, got to him, and then he ended up, like, losing his lunch and just like freaking out over. And then he was just like, wait, he's like, James mentors kids and owns a local newspaper. He was like, you were a Russian, he was like, you were an evil Russian dictator. And then she was just like, that was last season and it wasn't me. And then she's like, but what do I tell you about the doppelgangers and the ultra wormhole? And then he's like going ballistic. So come to find out, Luthor's plan was, he purposely broke Toyman out of prison so Toyman could wreak havoc and basically kill that guy, because he knew the actual, I don't know how he knew Winn was in the future. He knew the actual Winn shot would come to the past and bring his ship with him to clear his name. Because he took his hair, Lex, thanks to Brainy, because Brainy told him the location of the ship, Lex went to the ship. He used the hair that he took from Toyman to open the ship, because it's the same DNA from him and Winn. And he took a cube device out of his ship. He then, Lex then goes to Lena, and he tells Lena, like, listen, since Andrea is like Leviathan's, pet slave, he was like, I need you to talk to her. And then she's like, oh, but her and I, we're not friends anymore. And then he's just like, that never stopped the Lena that I know. So Lena goes to her, and then she's just like, Andrea, I know about Leviathan, and I know you did it to save me. And then Andrea's like, oh my God, I'm so glad, we're friends again, and I never wanted to hurt you. See, this was pissing me off about Lena. She's holding a grudge against Andrea. She's still mad at Kara. She's mad at, like, everybody on the show. But the Andrea that she's mad at didn't do anything to her. And, and now that Lena knows the truth, she knows that Andrea only did it because Leviathan threatened her and she was trying to keep Lena safe. So it's like, why are you still mad? It's like, the girl's clearly still your friend. The girl obviously didn't mean to, to play you. But I don't know. Lena making me mad, but she fine though, so I let that slide. So then she was just like, but then when she asked her, she was just like, if Leviathan ever contacts you for anything, you can come to me. And then Andrea was like, yo, they never came to me. She was like, they said that they would use me to do stuff. They never asked me to do anything. So on the New World, Andrea never became like their soldier. Well, at least they haven't called on her yet. So Lena called Lex, and she was just like, they haven't activated her yet, but once they do, she'll let me know because we're friends. And then so as a thank you, Lex gives her the cube. The cube provides her with Q waves, with what Q waves look like, because she said that the Q waves are different on the New Earth. So the cube let her know what Q waves are now, so she can, because she's still trying to go forward with this mind control plan. So Lena's good because she got her Q wave device. And that was the plan all along, so Lex can get that information. And also the cube gave Lex information about Leviathan, because he needed future knowledge to know who Leviathan is, because Leviathan's Lex Luthor's biggest threat, and they're actually freaking him out. So, so now, but after that, he was just like, Lex was like, I got what I needed. And then Brainy was like, but Toyman's still out there running the streets. And he was like, that's not my problem. He's like, click up with your superhero friends and go stop him. So Brainy's like, I've been had, but, I've been tricked by Lex Luthor, Lex Luthor wasn't trying to stop anybody. You know, he even threatened William, the reporter that Kara is friends with, because he was looking into like a friend's death. And Lex told Kara dead ass, he was like, yo, if he doesn't stop looking into me, he's gonna have a very unfortunate accident. You know, so now she has to deal with that. So now like they're trying to find Toyman. Nia shows up to use her dream powers. Her powers were a little like I guess like she thought her powers weren't working because she was still emotionally upset over the fact that her and Brainy aren't together. And plus Brainy was in the room when she tried to use her power. You know, Winn gave her the CW speech. You know, Kara and Winn, you know, had a nice little tender moment. And then she ended up using her powers again. She found him. He's basically at like another toy convention or a toy con or something. And he's going to blow up the toy con with all the kids in it. So everybody goes down there. They're saving the kid. You know, and it's like, I like Winn as Toyman, though. He even had like the toy tigers and everything. So, you know, Toyman's trying to blow this bad boy up. The Superfriends, they go in. Because Winn, he in the future, he's friends with Nia's great-great-grand descendant, and that person also has dream powers. And Winn was able to harness the dream energy and put it in a little device. So Winn was actually showing Dreamer things about her powers that she didn't even know she could do, which was cool. So that means like Dreamer will actually become more powerful as the season progresses, because she already saw what she's capable of doing because Winn showed her. You know, so Supergirl saves everybody. Winn goes downstairs, has a conversation with himself about Toyman, you know, and then you see Toyman, he's like doing something on a computer. He's like uploading something or like downloading something. We don't know what he's doing with the computer. So Winn's talking to Toyman. He's like, oh, you could change. And he's like, no, Toyman is forever. He blows up the building with everybody in it. Supergirl saves all the people. Winn uses his force field belt that he made in season 3 to protect himself. And the Toyman's dead. Toyman's dead. So you know, c'est la vie. Winn's futures change. He's no longer public enemy number 1. He decides to go back to Kara's house for some good old friends and family fun, because I guess he's not ready to go home yet. He just wants to see his friends and everybody before he goes home. And while they're having a good time, we go back to the DEO. And the guys that are basically cataloging all of Toyman's possessions, the same computer that he was working on turned itself on, and Toyman was on the computer. Because even in the Justice League cartoon series, Toyman was very he was synonymous for like turning himself into a robot. So for all we know, hell, like the actual real Winn shot is still alive. The evil Toyman is still alive, and the person who blew himself up was probably a robot copy of himself. So we don't know that yet. So the Toyman saga is not over, because there will be, this was part 1 and there will be a part 2. So the Toyman computer is on, and he's definitely not done wreaking his havoc amongst the city. So that was cool. I said that was definitely cool. Like I enjoyed that. I like seeing Winn back. And one more, after episode 12, episode 13 is the 100th episode. So hopefully when that happens, we'll see James come back as well. So definitely good episode of Supergirl. Nice to see Winn back, and we'll see what happens in part 2. So that was it. That was my reviews for episodes 11 of Supergirl and Batwoman. Again, check out my other videos, Black Lightning, the final series finale of Arrow. I got that coming soon, hopefully this weekend. Enjoy the Super Bowl, everybody. Stay warm, and until next time, as always, I'm out this bitch.